here. My monitor not working. Technology.
This looks like a James Bond movie.
Please go, John. No, it's yellow. Yeah.
Welcome to the CTO Show. This is Etienne and Stephan. We meet once a week to discuss the news and then give you an oversight of stories you may have missed as you have been working on your CTO stuff. And then Stephan writes an amazing newsletter called Amazing CTO, a brilliant newsletter. Please head over to amazingcto.com, subscribe. What we're going to do is give you a quick overview of the news, and then we're going to give a couple thoughts on some of the news articles coming out in his newsletter. So stick with us. You can listen for 5 minutes or 50 minutes.
So, starting with the news, the BBC reports Elon Musk is selling Twitter signs. Among the 584 lots on offer are coffee tables outside bird cages, oil paintings of images that went viral. The auction comes after Mr. Musk cut costs at Twitter following his $44 billion purchase of the firm.
Bird cages.
So I don't know if this is a strategy to get more money or something, or he just really hates Twitter, CI and logo and stuff.
Imagine I said, hey, I'm going to build an everything app where you can just do everything on it. And I am going to go and open an investment round. And I tell my investors, I need $44 billion to get this thing going.
But today I read again on Hacker News, I think Mozilla got 7 billion or something to build a browser, and they have, I don't know. I'm a Firefox user, but so there's a lot of money floating around, obviously. So next news item is NVIDIA CEO predicts transformation of computers with AI. In a visionary statement highlighted by The Street, NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang anticipates a profound reinvention of computers through the integration of AI and quantum computing. Huang envisions a revolutionary leap that will reshape industries and daily life, ushering in a new era of computing capabilities beyond current comprehension.
I believe that part. I just don't know what quantum computing means yet, but I believe we are headed to beyond comprehension computing for sure. BCC.
I think so too. Yeah, I think so too. The BCC, yeah. New term to use, BCC. NVIDIA needs to say something like this, like they produce all the AI chips, so obviously. But yes, I think we talked about this in the past, about where software development goes, in what direction, and probably most important thing in the future is having hardware that has a fast token generator, and this is where NVIDIA comes in. So yes, that makes sense, I think. Next news item is a redesigned Slack built for focus. Slack's official blog announces a redesigned platform aimed at optimizing focus and productivity. The updates include refined notifications, streamlined channel, and a focus mode feature, all designed to empower users to manage tasks more efficiently and minimize distractions, promising a more effective work environment.
My prediction is the exact opposite. And this is dumb. This is dumb. So I'm sure they have incredible product people there, but boy, when will people learn that focus is a systemic behavioral human problem? It's not something that can be fixed with technology. Have you ever tried Apple's focus mode on the phone? It's the most annoying thing on the planet. Maybe not the most annoying thing, but
yeah, I think it's also it's always funny when people try to solve a problem with the tool. I think
just sounds,
you know.
Sorry, that just sounds to me like a company that's got too much money to like a minutia iteration. It's so dumb. The last time I saw something that was profoundly useful for focus was Google's Inbox app.
Yeah.
I thought that was incredible, and they killed it.
Yes. Yes. I think they have some kind of chaos monkey running around, but they do it differently than Netflix, I think. They just kill off randomly products. It's like a chaos product monkey or something. Next news item. Amazon has more than half of all ARM server CPUs in the world. The register reveals a noteworthy move by Amazon Web Services as it transitions to more ARM-based servers, departing from the conventional x86 architecture. Amazon is the most successful manufacturer of ARM server chips, accounting for just over half of ARM-based server CPUs currently deployed, while some chip makers are also now betting on ARM-based Windows PCs.
All I think of is when I did computer science in the early 90s, my computer science degree, and we were comparing RISC-based chipsets with less instructions, whatever.
Last news item this week. So, listen. Meta rehires workers after layoffs. Business Insider reports that Meta is rehiring a substantial number of workers previously laid off, signaling a strategic realignment in the company's focus. This move reflects Meta's renewed emphasis on the metaverse and underscores its evolving priorities in the ever-changing tech industry.
Yeah, I am filled with both ridiculous and compassion.
Yes. Yeah, I also for all the people laid off, but it happened to me. I had to lay off people, which is something that I don't like in any way. I feel the person is obviously feeling worse than I. That's clear. But I can't sleep, and if I need to, luckily not very often, lay off people. And the worst thing is if someone tells you to do this, it's not some real reason that you have to lay someone off, but someone tells you you need to lay off 20% of staff. And this happened to me. And it also happened to me that afterwards I needed to rehire because obviously it's often not working, so then you
Yes.
decided to rehire people to fill the gaps that you've opened.
Yes, I think about this in terms of the employer as well, which is getting clear on what it is you need. I think oftentimes that's a journey in and of itself. I think the real crime here is if you don't know what you want.
Yeah.
And you are firing people.
Yes.
Because of your own ineptitude or laziness or confirmation bias to let people go because you see something when you're not clear on what you want.
Yeah.
Part of me is I am compassionate on the people getting fired, but at the same time, I do have compassion for companies that are genuinely trying to figure out what's next and what they're doing. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but part of me is thinking Zuckerberg is probably genuinely trying to figure out what's next. And
Next is fighting Elon Musk. That's next. So perhaps he rehired his trainer or something.
the billionaires operate in a realm where they can play with the masses. Like they are above things and we are
Yeah.
below things.
Yes.
So controlling the narrative, creating a buzz. I'm even thinking of Elon putting the things up for auction because
Yeah.
in his mind, he's like, okay, there's going to be news stories, X, or it's going to,
No, and also
the rebranding is going to continue to be cemented in people's, it's just,
I want to talk to you about a network I founded over 10 years ago when I felt like I wasn't getting the support I needed from other CTOs. I was concerned that I wasn't getting a soundboard. My ideas were amazing to me, but I was concerned that maybe they were biased towards my own experiences. And really, as my whole company looked to me to build out their technology organization, I felt concerned. Was I getting the education I needed? Was I getting the pushback that I needed? And I wasn't getting that from my fellow C-suites because they were not technical. And so I decided, okay, I'm going to jump in and create create a network where we all have to come with our authentic selves and share our insecurities, our challenges, and face the next level of scale. We all know that what used to work 6 months ago isn't necessarily going to work 6 months from now, as we are constantly growing our organization. So 7 CTOs is a peer network of hundreds of CTOs who get together once a month in groups of 6 or 7 to learn something new together, to process some challenges together, and then really to just encourage each other on this journey. We assemble people at the same levels. We use a proprietary framework called CTO levels to make sure that people are actually peers. And my goal is to have those 4 or 5 hours you spend with that group every month be the most valuable, time-saving hours that you can spend. Don't go down the rabbit holes. Don't wallow in insecurity. Don't be angry for too long. Come and get that support that you need. It is a lonely place. It is a high-stress environment. So 7 CTOs is literally the tech people who are all also taking on the growing of companies. We do our forum meetings, deep dive calls, retreats, conferences. Head over to 7ctos.com, hit the apply button, and we'll get you into a forum within 30 days. That is our guarantee. Love to see you there. See you soon.
Great. So what is in the amazing CTO newsletter this week?
There's more in it than we can talk about, but
I
the
love
most
that.
important things I brought with me. And the first thing that's in it is top 7 things that kill developer productivity. There was 10 years ago something, a Harvard Business Review article was about motivation, which started off with, stop demotivate people. People come motivated to your company, stop demotivating them. So that's what the first thing. And for developer productivity is, I think the first thing to get more productivity is to stop killing developer productivity. And the article mentions several things. The all-time favorite, meetings, and some other things. I think there are some other interesting ideas in it that kill productivity, like burnout, for example. But I think the most obvious one is meeting, which I see all the time. Developers being in too many meetings, and these meetings are not in one block, but that are shotgunned into the calendar, and then you have like a meeting, 1 hour for coding, a meeting, 1 hour for coding, a meeting. And how can you, this has 2 results. I think this has 2 effects, sorry. The first one is, what can you achieve in 1 hour? You start understanding the code, you think about what you're doing, and then you start coding, and then the hour is over and you need to go to another meeting. And the second thing is you have a mind model, I think, about how long coding tasks take. Like, okay, I changed some lines of code. Okay, this is something I can do in an hour. But starting, I don't know, a new subsystem, I will not start in 1 hour because then I need to go. So you will only do small things in these hourly intervals between meetings. So you're really killing productivity with this shotgun calendar where there's some
Yes.
sprinkles of meetings and some sprinkles of distractions. So this is, I think, is the most important thing, is get this out of the calendar of your developers.
Yes, although you could still not have a shotgun approach, you could still have blocks of time and hit the flow 5 minutes before the only meeting of your day. So, I'm a little tired of the whole meetings thing. The reason is, I just think we're not doing meetings the right way. So there's 2 things for me. One, heuristics. So mental shortcuts. The manager's like, okay, we have a problem we want to solve, or we have a discussion we need to have. The mental shortcut is, boom, I need a meeting. So
Yes.
the need to discuss and the desire to include, I think, is noble. It is a good, all of us are being taught, be collaborative, manage from the bottom up. There's a good reason for what ultimately ends up in a meeting because of heuristics. So the manager thinks I'd like to include everybody, or 3 people or 2 people. And then, but unfortunately, the mental shortcut is, let's schedule a meeting.
Yeah.
first problem for me is, do you really need, are you going to, you're in the conversation, you're in the context. Can you maybe get things done mode and just like for 60 seconds, have that meeting? Secondly, you're not going to be in the same frame of mind, like your point, the context switching. If you and I are having a meeting today and we're discussing the plan for the week, and we both agree there's a very important decision we have to make. Well, if we schedule that meeting for a week from now, we've lost the context.
Yeah.
We're doing something else and all that. But here's what I have found to be fascinating. Especially in a remote world, I think the antidote to meetings and that can maintain productivity and learning is screen sharing. I have found that if I open a Google Doc and I tell people there is a artifact that is going to be a result of this meeting, Miro board, Google Doc. Like I'm not here to tell you a bunch of things and get your opinion on a bunch of things. We are going to be writing together, drawing together, and we're all doing something together. And what I do is I open a Google Doc, I create a table, and I put some questions in the columns, and I just say, hey, everybody, can you fill this out? And then everybody starts typing and you see this beautiful thing happening. And now what's happening is everybody feels like they are actually participating in a conversation versus, hey, the boss wants to know if it's going to take 3 weeks or 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I think a key to this whole meetings thing in which you can raise productivity, learning, belonging, keeping people together is shared writing.
For me, the most important thing about a meeting is, why does the meeting exist? What do I want to achieve? Is it the outcome? Is it like, do we want to make a decision? Do I want to tell a story for alignment and for explanation and taking people with me? Or so what's the real reason? Or do we want to create a document or something together? So what's the reason we have this meeting? And not most often the reason to have the meeting is because it's in the calendar. It's a recurring meeting, a weekly recurring meeting. Let's fill it up. So it's not like the question, why is this meeting existing? Does this meeting exist? Sorry. It's not answered properly, I think, most of the time. And this is, and if you have a clear why, what you want to achieve and why it's there, then it's a good thing. Little footnote: the point about shotgun meeting in calendars still apply. So only have meetings from, I don't know, from 9 to 11 or something. I think if there's a reason, you can have them. I'm not a rigorous don't meet person, but usually the reason for existence is that the meeting is there, and that does not make any sense. But I need to share a small growth hack, a small productivity hack, perhaps. I learned today
Please.
from one of my clients. He introduced. He's a CEO. He introduced office hours. Like, he's available from, let's say, from 11 to 12 every day. And then he has a Zoom meeting open. People come there and ask stuff and tell things. And then if everything is done, he closes the meeting. And for this office hour setup in Zoom. And this is something, he said, this reduces a lot of meetings. Otherwise, people would want to have a meeting, a 30-minute meeting with me, or 15-minute meeting with me. And I have all the meetings in the calendar. But now I just have office hours, and stuff that would have been a meeting is just someone coming over and asking me something or telling me something and then leaving. So this cuts a lot of meetings from his calendar, just being available on Zoom for an hour every day or half an hour every day.
Let me ask you something. Let's say you have a regularly scheduled one-on-one with your lead dev or your head of engineering.
Yes.
And I see the meetings coming up in an hour, and I'm like, I don't really have anything to check in. We've just been in all these conversations. What do you do? Do you still have the meeting, or do you give them the option to X out of the meeting?
one-on-ones are the first meetings I introduce, and the last meetings I do when I leave a company.
Mm.
So I never cancel one-on-ones. Never. If the CEO says, Stefan, I need to have a talk with you, and I have a one-on-one, then I go to the CEO and cancel the one-on-one. But otherwise, I don't cancel one-on-one. And because I think I do a lot of micro alignment, so I talk a lot with topics. I get feedback. I got opinions about things that are happening in the company, new strategy, new framework. Should we do this? So I get a lot of input, and I also create a lot of alignment in one-on-ones just by talking to people and listening to people. So this is very important to me, even if I don't have a topic. Usually, I even don't have a topic. People come up with a topic, and it's most often people development. So what do they want to learn? How do they want to progress and stuff like that? I don't. So one-on-ones is something I don't cancel, like ever.
Do you have a format for one-on-ones that you like?
I
Maybe we
mostly
can-
focus on people development. So I talk a lot about where people want to go, and people don't know. So a lot of one-on-one talk is finding out what the person really wants and where the person wants to be in a year and 2 years. That's most of these things. My format is more or less like, if we do it weekly and have an hour, then I say something like 15 minutes is for me. I need to tell you something, inform you, get your opinion. I'd like to have your opinions. Of 15 minutes is for me, and 45 minutes is your time here. And essentially, it's your one-on-one is your time in my calendar. That's the framing. But I have a lot of for people who don't know how to do one-on-ones. I give usually out a list of questions to ask, like, how do you feel? What's your first thought when you enter the company each morning? What topics are you taking home with you? Is there something we should do that we currently don't do? So there's a lot of things I like to know. And if not, when before remote, I just had a walk with the person, and we had a walk in the park, and then we have a 1 hour walk in the park, and I think even that is very useful.
Got it.
So I would not cancel it. Second topic is team topologies from the book. Why I brought this one up is the book Team Topologies discussed by Martin Fowler. And although Martin Fowler is not the same superstar of software development probably that he was 20 years ago, I think he's still a clever person and still has a lot of insights. So I was interested on what his take is on the book and on team topologies. And the book is essentially it's a very important book if you want to structure software development companies. It tells you what type of software development teams you have and what they are, essentially what they should do. So there are some types like a stream aligned team, which builds a feature, component teams, platform teams, enabling teams, and how many people you need there and stuff like that. For me, this is often the starting point on how to organize, if I help clients organize their company.
One of the things he says is a crucial insight of team topologies is that the primary benefit of a platform is to reduce the cognitive load on stream aligned teams. And I think that is an important realization. Even as we talked about meetings, the governing question is how can we reduce the cognitive load that is on our people? And the more meetings you have, the more technical debt they're facing, the more they are burned out, the less autonomy they have. This is more and more things that they're thinking of that suppresses the creativity and the joy. And so I love, although streamlining to sort of productivity and reducing waste, and that's all cool. And then that feels like the industrial age, but definitely this idea that we want to reduce cognitive load for our people. Of course, you can swing to the other end of the spectrum in a bad way, which is I am only going to keep my people focused on the thing that they have to do. And I don't want to waste their time, or I don't want to, on a need to know basis, kind of keep things going. And I think that's the other end of the extreme. That's incredibly unhealthy because that reduces empathy, strategic thinking. I love Martin Fowler. I've tried several times to have him speak to 7 CTOs, but he doesn't do that anymore. So it's a little sad for me. Martin, if you're listening, I'm very, very sad.
Yeah, I was also hugely influenced by Martin Fowler, obviously, by a lot of stuff. A little bit sad note is we had I think we had the topic about troll on software, is that people who have been very, very influential in the past in software development are really forgotten. I sometimes wonder why isn't it in physics? It's not like people are forgotten that way, I think. There are obviously people forgotten. We had all the topics of women being forgotten into science and the contributions. But I think in software development, it's in a very special way. We're really fast forgetting influential people that had influential concepts like refactoring, and perhaps from team topologies, the cognitive load is really something that will stay probably. Next thing is stopping at 90%. The article is called Stopping at 90%, and it says that people think they are done when they are only done 90%, which is something I see all the time.
I feel like I stop at 15%. So the article says it is common to stop at 90% since the core project has concrete deliverables that can be easily measured. Example, did we improve the performance of the system? Did we submit the paper? Whereas the remaining 10% is far more difficult to track and often has no clear stopping point. What are some common activities to go from 90% to 100%? Interesting. Present the work to other teams. I love that. I really, really, really love that. I am always religiously encouraging my teams to present to each other. Walk us through this. I do a screen share. Walk us through this piece of code. Show us what you did. Record it. Save it. Put it inside of Notion or some knowledge base. I find that developers, there's a different light in their eyes when they are showing off their work.
Yeah.
Their work.
Yes.
I'm not talking the end result of, oh, yay, the drop-down box auto-completes. Woohoo, that's awesome. No, I'm talking about the genius indexing they did so that with minimal
Yes.
request, the most specific data and the payload is a smaller. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that you geek out over. That is, you don't explain that to the stakeholder, but gives you a lot of joy when you're explaining how you solve the problem to your fellow developers.
Always a question I do in interviews is, what are you most proud of? And then people do some private things, which is also fine. I think people should be proud of things. But then I try to refocus on work. So what are they proud of? What have they achieved, or piece of code or whatever? Because I think it's very important to be proud of the products and the things you create, and
Yes.
sharing with another team, I think, instills this feeling in people to be proud of what they have created.
Yes, and I will say, speaking to our previous topic on meetings, one of the companies I work with, I have a standing system architecture meeting once a week, and that's a difficult meeting to want to do every week. And I'm always, and this is a confession, I'm always thinking, kind of like what that article said, to not kill productivity. I'm not going to have a meeting if I don't have any questions. But so often we will have the architecture meeting. The lead developers will be like, okay, what do you want to know? Or they won't have a very specific burning question that they have. But man, when I start asking, walk me through how you built the items module, the model, how did you model the data? What are you running into? Let's open up a Miro board and draw the entity relationships for me. Just asking those questions triggers off so many things that is an opportunity to talk about. But it requires us as CTOs, as technical leaders, to be vested in what work they're doing at the lowest level, and more importantly, to stay clued up on how these things work. You don't ever leave that stuff behind. to ask
Yes.
about the relationship mappings, to go and read their code with them. Sometimes I'll say, let's just open up a random file that's giving you the most headaches right now and just talk me through the code from top to bottom. And they're like, okay, great. Let's
Yep.
do this.
Yep.
And then sometimes there's skepticism, especially with a new team. There's skepticism about, yeah, right, the suit wants to see the code. But then I ask a few questions and they're
Yeah.
like, whoa. Okay. This guy understands,
Yeah.
memory usage and mutability and immutability. So that I love that broad, present your work to other teams. Let me just get through this other list because that one was so good. I want to just make sure I get through them. He says, what are some common activities to go from 90% to 100%? Present the work to other teams. Secondly, broadcast an email with takeaways so that the rest of your organization knows about it. Genius. Because I talk to my CTOs about send a weekly CTO update email.
This is what I tell people.
People have no idea what you're doing.
Yeah.
I tell them 3 bullet points, almost like a stand-up email, and keep that thing going. You won't get replies. You won't get acknowledgements. You might not even get opens. I don't care. Do it.
Explain tech. A part
Explain.
of the CTO role
Yes.
is explain tech to everyone else. I
Go
think
and
that's
watch
very,
this
very
YouTube.
important.
Go and watch this YouTube video. It's 3 minutes. It talks about what LLMs do. Boom. Put the code somewhere that your coworkers can make use of it later. I really like this guy. Wow, Austin Henley. Austin, if you're listening, man, let's chat. Write a blog post about it. Post it on Twitter, Hacker News, and Reddit. This guy is a CTO. He has to be. Sketch out a next steps document, even if you have no plans to continue.
Yeah.
That explains what you would do next and why. Look for adjacent projects that could benefit. And finally, find someone that can poke holes in your work and then go and address those holes. Evangelism, documentation, and polish are often just as important as the core project. Wow, brother, this is a brilliant find. I love it.
A minor thing that has been useful for me is to define the concept of done. So I introduce wherever I've been, and I run into this issue of people stopping at 90%. I introduce the concept of done. So you're not done, but you're done. And done means nothing else needs to be done. So really nothing else. Like the stuff in the list is there, good ideas, but also like writing documentation or a test or some configuration in production or whatever, then that all of these minor things that are between the 90 and 100%. And done means nothing else needs to be done on this thing. And then if I introduce this concept and then I can ask people, this is done. And then I ask, is this done? Yes, it's done, or no. So it's a good, I think it's important to distinguish the 90% done from the nothing needs to be done anymore. Done.
Yes, because I think sometimes the stakeholder will think something is done because it has the appearance of the things that they asked for, when back in your mind, it's not done.
Yeah.
And then the temptation to move on to the next thing, again.
And you never get
love
the
it.
time to come back.
Yes.
Next item is, I disagree with this one, but I wanted to put it in there. I should not have said that I disagree. I should have, this is spoiler alert.
I also disagree. So let's
So
do this.
Eloquent, it says Eloquent, great mind think alike. Eloquent code needs no comment. And there's an example in this article where there is a code with some comments and there is a code with no comments. And the point is, if your code is good enough, it doesn't need comments. And I think that's not the right takeaway. I'm for clean code and self-understanding code, easy to read. Code is not about writing; it's about reading. So I agree with that. But there need to be comment, at least about the why and sometimes about the how. So why have you built this way? Why is this code there? Because feature ABC, or why? Because this gets lost. developers leaving, product manager leaving, new scaling, new orgs, new teams. The why is always lost. So the why needs to be in there. And sometimes if you have a very clever how, you find this very clever algorithm on the internet to do something, then I would also document the how we use this very clever algorithm called XYZ to do this. But you should not document, this is what the article is about. You should not document the what, because I can read the code. So if it says 1 + 1, here we do 1 + 1, well, I can read the code. I don't need the what. Last article I have is an article again by David Heinemeier Hansen. Turns out nobody cared about panel gaps. And the article talks about Tesla. And the idea is that everyone was annoyed about the panel gaps in Tesla cars because the quality was not there. But David says it was not about the panel gaps. It was about other things. And Tesla didn't want to compete on the areas that other manufacturers were good, which is panel gaps, but on the things that others were not good, which is EV and range and some other stuff. And Elon Musk challenged some assumptions there. For example, also the Model S is 10 years old, might get a redesign, I think, is in the making, but it's 10 years old. And in the past, every 2 or 3 years, a new Mercedes or BMW or a Ford came to the market. So he also challenged the notion that customers want new cars all the time or new designs all the time. So he challenged a lot of things that have been obvious, I think, in the traditional car industry. So it's obvious that we need new models. It's obvious that that the panel gaps need to be right and stuff, And he challenged that, did the stuff where he thinks customers really want something new or something different, and this is why he wrote this way for success. And taking this to startups, what I find out when talking to CEOs, CTOs, they often don't know if panel gaps are important or not, or if it's range, or what's really important for the customer. And then they try to build everything and do everything and see what sticks. And this article argues that you need to be really, really aware of what customers really want.
I appreciate that perspective. I have so many questions around, it seems like a bit of a conflation. I think it's slightly hyperbolic to prove a point around the blue ocean strategy.
Yeah.
I think his point was, if Tesla had taken the panel gaps thing seriously and had diverted attention and detail to it, the payoff is maybe going to be 5% compared to the EV charging network and the technology and the self-driving. So I think that's genius in how Tesla approached that. The other thing that's interesting for me is how many people I talk to who won't buy a Tesla because of Elon Musk. So turns out they care about just a different set of things. Now, again, I don't know what the numbers are or the ratios are or the percentages are, but I think what I love about this perspective is, as CTO or as co-founder, how can we're always in this conversation of where should we focus our very expensive developer resources, and the fire or the house is burning or we absolutely need to integrate this chat tool or this customer service quiz. It's important, I think, for our CTOs to be able to bring that perspective to our teams and say, panel gaps is important. Is it the most important thing? And is it going to have the greatest impact on our long-term company vision and goals? And I often have to have that conversation. And personally, I don't like hearing myself when I say those things, because CTOs can often weaponize that way of thinking.
Yes.
So I always say,
yes, this rings so true.
I'm sorry for the stereotypical response. I don't want to sound, I agree with you. Panel gaps, super important. But if we consider the medium to longer term goals and our constraints, where should we focus? And I think David's point is you can have exponential impact if you are willing to take the time to focus on what's not being done and to have a deaf ear to some degree to the impassioned pleas of YouTubers who are millimeter measuring panel gaps.
I have 2 points I wanted to add. I agree with you, especially with the weaponized. CTOs need to be aware of not weaponizing their position. The first point would be, I think what customers value changes over time. Last week, I think I read that in Germany, Volkswagen overtook Tesla in sales. So only the core of Volkswagen surpassed Teslas for quite some time. If you take Audi and others in, but just the core brand overtook Tesla. It's a head-to-head race, but they overtook, and I think it might be a time when quality awareness increases, and when everyone thinks, oh, EVs are bad on range, then yes, having the best range is there. But if it's no longer the topic, then superchargers and the range is perhaps no longer that important, and then people might look into quality.
Yes.
Not that the Volkswagen EVs are very high quality. I think they are. You can see that they try to be cheaper, but I think there will be some perhaps some refocusing of customers. So people change, and you might think that all your customers are like your early adopters.
Yes.
I see this
big
so often,
mistake. Wow.
and that's not the case.
Wow.
That's
Brilliant
it.
point.
And a very minor point, which is not brilliant. It's just a personal minor point. I never owned a car, and probably would never will own one. We sometimes rent cars, and I would not buy a Tesla if I would buy a car, because everything is nice, but it's too loud. Like when we have, we
Yes,
rent
I
a lot
heard
of
that.
cars, and we had a BMW on the German Autobahn, and we had a Tesla on the German Autobahn, and the Tesla is unbelievable loud at 150
Wow.
kilometers per hour, I think. It's like, I thought, is there something wrong in this car?
We ending with a ChatGPT joke?
Yeah, no. Today we have a bot joke.
Oh, a bod joke. Do
So
it.
we're an equal opportunity joke user or whatever. I don't know. So I thought this time we give Bart a try. And I asked Bart to give me a CTO joke.
Okay.
And Bart said, what do you call a CTO that can't code?
A CEO?
A manager.
No, but that's not. I don't like that. I don't like. Bod is. Wow, that is aggressive. You're making it
For
bod.
managers.
I'm speaking
for
to
CTOs.
bod. You're making it sound like CTOs have to code. You're making it sound like it's a bad thing to not be a CTO.
Yes.
You're making it sound like managers are little doofus. I don't know, maybe it's my constructs, but
Yeah.
I don't know that.
But isn't that the concept of jokes? I mean, where two people come into a bar, joke, isn't it always about some very low-hanging,
Okay, I'm
funny
gonna say, tell me a joke about CTOs into ChatGPT. Why did the CTO bring a ladder to the meeting?
What? I don't know.
Because they heard the company's success was on the rise and they wanted to be on top of things. And it's so cheap. That sounds like a chicken.
There's a little bit room for improvement yet
Yes.
on
yes.
joke. So I can't. I mean, my idea was to become the next Jerry Seinfeld, with ChatGPT, but that's not. I don't think it's still. We're not yet there.
Yes. So I told ChatGPT that wasn't funny. And it said, I apologize if the previous joke didn't meet your expectations. Let me try again. Why did the CTO go to therapy? To
that's a dark
debug
one.
their emotional code and optimize their work-life balance. Again, this is terrible.
That's dark.
I'm going to say, clearly, you don't know anything about CTOs. I'm sorry if my previous attempt at humor didn't resonate with your expectations. If you have any specific characteristics or aspects of CTOs in mind that you find humorous, please feel free to share. I'll do my best to come up with a joke that aligns better with your perspective.
Oh, I think that's the best about these. The one you just read is the best about ChatGPT telling jokes.
Yes. That
Tell
was
me
the
a
funny.
joke. Tell me something funny, and I will make a joke out of it. No, this is the future of AI. I'm not
Yes.
satisfied with the results. So, okay, then
Yes.
tell me the solution, and I will
You tell
repackage it.
me, yes, you tell me what is funny about CTOs,
CTO.
and I will then make you laugh.
Yes.
Wow, that's. I mean, I guess it responded with the same hint of animosity that I had. I said clearly you don't know anything about CTO, so that was an
Little bit
aggressive
aggressive.
statement. Oh.
So tell me.
Yeah. So that was wonderful.
I thought so too. I think so too. I thought it was wonderful at the time when it was wonderful, and now I think it was wonderful.
Yes. Your command of the English language is exceptional.
There are two concepts, This is my grasp of the English language, and this is exceptional, and these are two things that are.
Yes.
They are so far away, so far apart
yes.
that they don't fit the screen,
In other words, which can only mean that I was being sarcastic.
But at least we can laugh together. Isn't that
Yes.
something?
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I will see
Thank
you
you.
next week. Amazing as always. Cheers.
You too. Cheers. Have a nice day.
There you have it, another episode of the CTO podcast. If you like the show, let us know. Like and subscribe on YouTube and subscribe to us in your favorite podcast app. It'll be amazing to keep this community growing. If you want to talk to us, we're on Telegram. Go check out CTO Podcast on our Telegram group. And of course, you can always hit us up on Twitter. I am ETDEBRUIN. And Stephan is King of Coders, KINGOFCODERS. Please head over to 7ctos.com. Check out the most favoritist, amazingest community of CTOs on the internet and in the world. And also go check out amazingcto.com and subscribe to the newsletter. This is what makes the show possible, is all the amazing research and work that Stephan does to make this show happen. We love all of you, and please, let's see you next week. Cheers.